Welcome to Freezer Milk Podcast. I'm your host, Bridget, along with my husband, Chris. Podcast where we talk about the comedic side and serious side of parenting, life, and relationships. We are boy parents. We have two boys, Enzo and Rhett, with about a 6-year age gap between the two. You can check out our website, freezermilk.com. Also, feel free to follow us on Instagram at Freezer Milk Podcast. Thanks and hope you enjoy.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's time for a fun-filled episode of all the things that we're doing wrong and all the things that we're doing right. And let's just kick this thing off. We'll start off with a couple things that I've been thinking about last week. And things that I noticed. Like, one of the things that me and Bridget do is kind of like one of our date nights is we, put the kids to bed and we, hang out on the couch and we just kind of we literally surf through TikToks and just flip TikToks back and forth to each other. And it's something that we're really passionate about, something that we enjoy doing. It's just, I think it's
something funny. Like, it's so nice to like share with your partner either videos that you found funny or insightful or cool DIYs or just random.
I don't know if you've ever noticed though, probably good 90% of every video 90% of the videos that we send to each other have to do with parenting.
Yep.
It's all about parenting. Who needs a therapist when you have TikTok?
Right.
Like, realistically.
Therapy talk.
I'm constantly on TikTok, just trying to find ways that people, parent their children and how to be a better parent.
Yeah. Like,
I'm really just surfing through TikToks. I don't need anybody else to tell me. I got TikTok. I can just... really, I've learned so much from TikTok.
Yep.
It's kind of amazing.
It is. And, you and I came up with, a code word this week for one of the TikToks we watched was kind of talking about, instead of, raising your voice at your kid or you feel, frustrated, hey, my kid doesn't listen to me and yet unless I am yelling or unless I, act a certain way. It was hey, give them very much specific instruction the first time. If they don't do it the second time and ask them, do you understand me? Do you hear me? And then after that, too bad, so sad. You now have consequences. And I fall into the category of, I wouldn't say I yell, but I get a different tone and I'll put some colorful words in when I really need to grab Enzo's attention. And it's not my proudest moment by any means. And I was struggling, and you and I have talked about, I struggle with the fact that, he won't necessarily listen to me unless I throw colorful words in. But we came up with a code word to remind ourselves, at the end of the day, Enzo is a fucking amazing kid. And I shouldn't get so frustrated that maybe he doesn't listen, because overall, he's a really good kid, and he has a really good heart, and...
Well, he's still young.
Yeah.
He's still learning.
Yeah. So we came up with a code word for you to be able to kind of just, help me, step back and check myself for a minute when I get frustrated or upset or, my patience wears thin, to kind of be hey, Bridget, remember, he is only 7. But instead of that whole conversation, we just have a code word we use.
Yeah. And
that idea came from TikTok.
It did. Well, it's interesting because, especially with Enzo, he is for the most part, he's a really good listener. I think he just has his moments when he gets overly excited.
Yeah.
Or something else has his attention, and it's the same way with us. A lot of times other things are completely pulling at our attention, so we're not really paying attention. How many times do you get frustrated with me because you're trying to tell me something and my head is somewhere completely different, and you're are you even listening to me?
Yeah.
You get so frustrated. It's the same thing. It happens when we're adults.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that as adults, we don't, even as we get older, we're really bad about it.
It's we have even more distractions.
Yeah.
But we somehow expect our kids to be good at it.
Yeah, I know. I think it's we want our kids to do really well. We want them to listen to us. We want them to behave. But at the end of the day, they're human beings, and we all kind of suffer from the same thing.
Yeah.
One thing that I was trying to work on over the last week. So last week we didn't have Enzo because we're on a week on, week off. But this week we've determined, like, I'm trying to put Enzo ahead of everything else and relate to him on a different level. And I'm trying to give him more time because that's what he wants. He wants quality time. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to do things that, he enjoys. So it's kind of ironic. I struggle. Like, I really struggle. I was noticing it because I've been taking him to school and picking him up from school every day, and I struggle with him because the first thing he does when he gets in the car from school is tells me about all of these different powers he's acquired throughout the day. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I cannot understand one thing that you're saying to me. And he's talking about powers, and I'm like, can you explain these powers to me? And he's like, I got the fire power, and I've got the punch power, and I've got the strength. And I'm like, what are you learning at school? Like, what are your teachers teaching you? And it's not actually like in the classroom. It's at recess and their downtimes. And he says he constantly plays these games with his peers, which is great. I'm glad he's playing with his peers, and I'm glad that he's able to have that relationship.
They're basically like Pokemon.
Yeah, I have but when he gets in the car and he wants to tell me all about these things, I'm like, I have no idea what is going on. Like, so I'll prod, and I'm like, hey, how was school? What'd you learn? And then he immediately says, oh, it was good, derails and goes back to all of these new forms he's got, and, the powers he's obtained throughout the day, and he beat his friend doing this, and I'm like, so I completely zone out. Like, I just check out. I'm like, I don't know. I do the, yep, sounds good. Yep, that's awesome. I have like 2 things in response to him.
Really?
I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I don't know how many times in a car ride, if somebody was in a car, like an adult was in the car with me, and they realized how many times I said that's awesome to that kid, just from the 25 minutes of driving from school to home.
Do you know what my code phrase is I do?
What?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, like, what do you say?
Oh, wow.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay, that's awesome.
Really? Oh, wow.
So needless to say, we're trying to, well, I am trying to spend a little bit more quality time doing the things that he enjoys. I still can't get into the Pokemon, and I can't get into the game stuff. I'm just, I was telling you the other day, I was like, it would be one thing if he came to me and was like, hey, let's play Halo. But, he's young. He can't play Halo or...
He's 7.
That's what I'm saying. He can't play like a Call of Duty or anything like that. So those are the games that would interest me if I were to play anything at all. So I just struggle when it comes to that. So I told him today, I said, hey, we can watch a movie later after you do your homework, we eat dinner, you take a shower, and you put your clean clothes away. We'll watch a movie together. And he goes, what movie? And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I always tell him to choose a Disney movie. Mm-hmm. I'm like, hey, anything on our Disney, because we have the Disney app. I'm like, choose something on the Disney app to watch, because it's kid-friendly, whatever the case may be. But I actually really like the Disney app. So I end up really, Plus. Like, I say I put these movies on for the kids. Like, me and Rhett have our routine in the morning, which we'll talk about. But, I always put certain movies on because I actually enjoy the movies. They're kind of funny.
Disney has done a very good job of making sure their movies appeal to parents because they realize they have to sell the parent on it to have the kid watch the movie.
Absolutely. And
they've done a very good job at it.
And that's why now, I'm like, hey, a lot of times he'll try and put something on that I'm like, I have no idea what this is. Like, he'll try and put something on. I'm like, no, let's do something a little bit more, whatever.
Let's do something on Disney Plus.
And that's where he'll pass the remote to me and he'll say, okay, you pick. I'm like, okay. So, but I mean, that's what we have to do. I guess I need to learn to, get down on his level and try to understand the things that he likes.
Yeah.
But I struggle with that. And I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's me, obviously, but
So I wonder if you viewed it as, do you want to be the parent that forces the kid to do the things that you like? Or do you want to be the parent that is willing to do things that you potentially don't like because it's what your kid likes?
Well, if you think about it, though.
Like, you watch movies that I want to watch, even though you don't like them.
Yeah, all the time.
Because, like, that is the give and take of our relationship. Mm-hmm. And I will turn on football. And you know how much I love football. We watch football, though, right?
Every once in a while.
Yeah. And I think we've learned in our relationship, like, it is a very natural give and take. Like, a relationship is, you compromise so that the other person can have joy about something, even if it doesn't necessarily bring you joy, right?
Yeah, I would tend to agree, sure.
So I think it's...
Yeah, but I do...
It is the same with Enzo. So, you know, saying, like, okay, you know, like, a good compromise you do is, like, you don't love Mario Kart, but you play it because it brings him joy to do it. So, like, you know...
Well, I used to do that with soccer, too.
Right. Like, you don't love doing that, but it brings him joy to do it. And I think as long as you keep that at the forefront of your mind, like, hey, I want to... You know, when you're like, oh, like, I don't want to do this, Enzo, or he always wants to do Pokemon or talk about this or talk about that, like, being like, okay, what's something that he likes that I don't necessarily enjoy?
Well, he talks about, like, Dragon Ball Z and Goku's and stuff. What are you talking about? I have no idea. Maybe I just need to sit up late one night and just watch this stuff, and maybe I'll get into it. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. It was interesting, though, so we've talked about in the past how, like, Enzo's love language is quality time.
Yeah.
So it was so interesting. So I was sitting at the kitchen island, which is, like, right behind our, like, living room couch area, 5 feet away. And I was working on some stuff, like, after hours tonight for work, working on some spreadsheets. And we had turned the movie on Inside Out. And Enzo, like, every 5 minutes, would be like, are you almost done?
They just kept asking you if you were done with work.
Yeah. And eventually, like, I was just like, you know what?
I need to stop.
Like, I'm right here 5 feet away, and that should, in my mind, that should suffice.
But it doesn't.
But it doesn't, because my child is craving quality time, and he wants me to be giving the attention to the same thing he's given attention to. He wants me to be enjoying and participating in the thing that he likes.
I just don't know if I can give him that much attention on Pokemon.
Maybe Dragon Ball Z is it.
Wasn't it enough that I dressed up as a Charizard or Charmeleon
How many years
Halloween?
Ago? How many years ago was that?
I mean, come on. You see this big guy walking around as a Charizard on Halloween. You know, I did my part.
But it's interesting. So I was like, okay. And I, like, shut my laptop down and came over and got on the couch. And I was like, hey, come here. Like, let's snuggle. Like, snuggle party. And he loved it. Like, the rest of the night, he was just snuggled up with me, like, watching the movie. But it clicked for me, like, probably the 4th or 5th time. He was like, hey, are you almost done working? What time are you done working? And I was like, oh. Like, it's not clicking for him that, like, this is not counting as me being involved in the activity because I'm in the same room.
Right. And it's the same thing if I'm on my phone when me and him are just hanging out.
Yeah.
Watching a movie. He'll ask me, he'll be like, you know, why aren't you watching the movie?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a second, I'm sitting here on the couch.
Yeah.
You know, I've got my phone in my hand.
It doesn't register because you are not actively engaging in the thing that he's engaged in.
Well, that's because he doesn't own a cell phone. Wait until he owns a cell phone.
I think it's because just today's day and age, like, we all do it. I'm on my phone, you're on your phone. His dad, you know, his dad's fiance, like, everybody. It's just today's day and age, and I think it's something that he is very aware of. Like, oh, you're not actually paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting.
That's sad.
But it's probably why he enjoys soccer.
Yeah, because I'm not on my phone.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Or, like, when you do Mario Kart, like, you're actively doing it with him.
Yeah. Makes sense. That's why movies aren't, you know, he'll do a movie with me, but it's not like his go-to. He wants to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do? You know, when you, at a certain time every night when we have him, you know, say 7 o'clock, right? You know, he goes to bed at 8. Yeah. 7 o'clock, we put our phones in a drawer until, you know, 8, and when he goes to bed.
It might be, yeah. It might be a good option.
No devices, just that 1 hour of quality, just one-on-one time with your kid, and maybe that's the answer. I don't know.
It might be a good answer, you know.
I'm going to surf TikTok real quick and see if anybody's got an answer for me. I don't know. It's just it's been interesting. I'm trying to do better in that area.
That's parenting, constantly adapting.
Well, and then, Rhett is kind of similar. I mean, he's all about you right now, and he's very ornery, but, he's a baby. But he wants the cuddling, and he wants, like, how excited, like, he does okay out here. He likes to watch his movies, but how well does he do when you take him in the master bedroom where there's there's no distractions, and you play the hide and seek game with him? He loves it. It's everything to him. Like, you get some serious giggles out of him. I don't know. I think it's all a learning curve, but you got to figure out how to balance that quality time with your kids and your spouse and yourself, and it's just like there's no time left in the day after that. You got work and whatnot.
Yeah.
But brings me to another point. I got to be more careful with Rhett, because like he's getting so much older now. I mean, he's not even that old though. Like, and he's walking around and he's into everything, and he follows me around the house, and I'm trying to do chores. I'm trying to get my laundry basket. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. I was in the room. I was in our room, and he was following me in there, and I was getting my laundry basket together, and my hands were kind of full. And I was trying to get him out of the room because I didn't want to leave them in the room unattended, because you were out here with Enzo and I was going to the laundry room to do laundry. And I'm trying to get him...
So you tried to hold his hand,
Yeah,
right?
I tried to hold his hand to kind of lead him out of the room, but I swung him in the wrong direction, and he straight up ran into the corner of the wall, the loudest thud that I'd ever heard, and he fell to the ground.
He
and
bounced
just
off of it.
Wailed, and immediately I turned from fear to rage to guilt. And you were like, what was that? I yelled. I was like, I don't even know what I yelled, but I'm like,
he fell.
I was like, he fell. No. I was so pissed off. And I come back out here, and he's got the bruise
You were
on his head.
so pissed when you came out here.
I pass him to you, and I walk away. I stomp away because I'm just so fucking pissed off. And I'm not pissed off at anybody. I'm pissed off at myself.
I know, you wouldn't tell me what happened.
I wouldn't tell her what happens. I go.
You're like, he fell. He ran into a wall. I'm like, but how? He doesn't normally just run into walls that forcefully. Did he trip on something? You're like, I ran him into the wall, damn it. Like, what? What do you mean?
Anyway, it was it's amazing because I tend to hurt this baby a lot. Like,
all parents do.
There's certain things that I do that I'm a bigger guy, and he will get right behind me, and I will turn and he'll run straight into my leg and he will hit the ground.
Yep.
Because he's small. I mean, he's 23 pounds, and I'm a big guy, So I'm constantly hurting this child, and I feel terrible about it. It makes me feel like a fucking asshole.
No, accidental. It's not intentional.
I know it's not intentional, but at the same time, I'm hurting my baby. I'm like, oh my God, how horrible of a parent are you?
Just normal parent guilt.
But in a lot of things, me and you differ on the whole parenting thing, I think, sometimes. But I'm all for letting him explore things, and hey, if he gets into, within reason, if he gets into something, or he's messing around with something that might kind of hurt him a little bit, or if he's gonna maybe possibly fall from a safe area where I know he's not gonna get hurt, I'll let him do it, just so that he learns, hey, this isn't safe to do, because that's how I learned, and I turned out great. That's how my parents taught me.
Oh yeah. We might have to rediscuss this method.
Well, I mean, you've got your method's a little bit different, a little helicopter-y, but you know what? I think there's a good balance here.
So, I don't let him fall off of a surface normally.
Well, I mean, I don't let him fall off like a table or some shit. But
a couch?
No, I've never let him fall off the couch.
Okay.
But something like if he's standing on one of his little toys or something like that, and he falls, I'm like, hey, figure it out. Obviously you shouldn't be doing that, right?
I'll tell him, because he was standing on something the other day, and I said, hey, careful, you're going to fall and hurt yourself. And so I'll just give him that warning, and as soon as I say careful, he's like, Well,
he likes to...
Maybe I shouldn't do this.
This might be a little TMI, but, when you're sleeping in the morning and I have him, I have to use the restroom, I have to leave the door kind of cracked,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But he's notorious for coming in there and putting his hand around the door, right?
Yeah.
With it partially open. And then he goes to close the door. And
Yeah.
he closes it on his hand every time. And he's got a small hand. And I'm like, dude, like, hopefully you're going to figure this out one day, that's not where you should put your hand, and it's going to continue to hurt you.
So I tell him, hey, watch your fingers.
Like, he kind of responds to some of it. I'm just like, ugh. Like,
We got to work on that.
I know. It's
So if you help him, like, identify, like, hey, careful, you might get hurt, or hey, watch your fingers, watch your head. Like, he understands his body parts and what they're labeled.
right.
So when you tell him that, it draws his attention to it a little bit more. So that's why, like, I'll say...
Yeah, but he just doesn't... He has no, like, positional awareness. He is, like...
They don't have it. They don't have it for a while.
Like, he just... I don't know how many times, like, I've just... Like, we've turned around in a room and he's run into a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like... Or run into something. And I'm like...
You okay?
Like, he'll be standing in front of me and he'll turn around and run right into my leg. Fall down.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm trying, but you're not making this easy.
It takes a while for them to learn that.
Yeah.
It's like the step thing. So similar to the step thing where we tell them, like, hey, step. It started with
remember
step,
how I
step,
started
step,
that
step,
whole,
step.
Yeah, I remember I used to, like, higher pitched voice, but I would yell step, 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 step,
Yeah,
step.
and now
he
knows,
automatically knows there's a step there.
If it's somewhere where there's a step and it's not a familiar place, I'll say step, and he'll be like, and he'll, like, pause and look at it like, okay, I need to pay attention. So that's why I say, hey, careful, you're going to fall. Hey, watch your head. Watch your fingers. Like, those different things is very similar to saying, like, step. So it snaps his attention to whatever you're calling out.
It's amazing, actually, how intelligent babies really are. They're pretty receptive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a smart child.
You want to talk about how he gives kisses now?
Well, he doesn't do it for me, but I don't blame him. I'm a big, burly, ugly guy, so I wouldn't kiss me either. But
What is it from your point of view?
Well, he does an open mouth, like, almost like he's trying to eat your nose. But you're the only one that he'll actually give a kiss to.
Yeah. I just ask him, hey, can I have a kiss?
Uh-huh.
And he'll turn and put his mouth up towards mine and then, like, wait for me to kiss his mouth.
Yeah. Loves it.
And then if I say, like, can I have another one, he'll, like, stick his head up again and do it.
Loves it. He's all about mom.
It's so cute.
He doesn't do that cute stuff for me.
He does cute things with you.
Yeah. Well, we have our routine, like so, I never, like, personally, I didn't think that the best part of my days, like, ever, were going to be revolving around the routine I have with my son.
Between 5:30 and 6:30 a.m.
Because it's every morning, it's like clockwork. Unfortunately, this kid, he's on a sleep schedule. His sleep schedule, he goes to bed at 7 p.m. And he naps twice a day. So, if that. So, he goes to bed at 7 p.m. and he's up at 5:30, 5:45, 6 o'clock, somewhere right between 5:30 and 6 o'clock every morning. So I can always expect...
Occasionally he'll sleep until like 6:30, 6:45, and we're like, what is going on?
Yeah, it's really weird.
It wrecks his naps for the day, too.
Yeah, and I don't even end up getting to sleep in. I'm just like, it's like clockwork, I'm up. But I always expect to... Because in the mornings, because Bridget gets up with the baby at night, a couple times a night, I get up with the baby in the morning to get his day rolling. So we'll start off by, I'll hear him cry, so I'll come down the hallway and mosey on down there at 5:30 a.m. and pull him out and change his diaper and put him in his clothes for the day, and then we come and sit out on the couch and I turn on one of two movies.
I feel like you do it differently now, though, because you're trying to make sure, like, it's not loud on the baby monitor, so you normally will just pull him out in the morning.
Yeah, I've been doing that because I don't want to wake you up.
Yep.
So... And I even leave the white noise. The white noise is on, and
I know. So it all comes through the monitor.
Normally I get him ready for the day. Well, okay, so we'll say like recently I've been leaving him in his nighttime clothes. I bring him out here. We sit on the couch. We watch one of two movies: Encanto and Turning Red.
Yeah.
And he loves both of those movies.
He does.
He'll curl up on the couch with me for probably 30 to 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I'll drink my coffee, and he's watching his tube, and, I'm good. Now so after that 45 minutes, you start to wake up, and start to get rolling. If Enzo's here, he's up and he's getting going, getting ready for school or whatever the case may be. But then I'll get him a rice cake. It's the first thing I give him in the morning is a rice cake, just something to chew on.
He loves them.
He loves his rice cakes. And then I typically take him, if Enzo's here, I take him with me to school.
Yeah.
To drop off Enzo, which is now an hour drive. But anyway, so we get back here, we'll do breakfast. I make breakfast for you guys, and I make breakfast for him. He always has the same thing, banana and grits. His 2 favorite things in the world. He likes his bananas and his grits, so that's what we do. But the whole point of this is I never thought I'd be one of those people that the best part of my mornings was going to be waking up to do that routine with my son. I look forward to it every morning when I get up.
Yeah.
To do that routine, to have that time to bond with him. And I'm glad that I'm able to do it and I don't have to just rush out the house.
I would say something has changed in the last few months where you no longer are like, ugh, in the morning. Like, you used to not love to have to get up in the morning. And now, like, you hop right out of bed, like, you know.
We do our thing.
Just excited to, like, go and get him.
I've always loved the earlier parts of the morning.
Yeah.
It's quiet. Something about the lighting. It's just very, very comfortable to me. It's very comfortable at 5:30 a.m. in the morning to me. You know, I'm sipping on my coffee. I'm reading through emails. I'm hanging with my baby.
What do you think changed?
I think the reality of I don't have a choice, so you better make it worth it. Kind of set
Choose positivity.
Choose positivity. So here we are.
You've been doing it. I've noticed.
This is what we do. But again, for a long time, I never thought that the best part of my day was going to be that hour and a half I have with my son every morning. Mm-hmm. And one of the best, the second best would be putting him to bed at night because I have my routine with him at night. Yeah. I do the same things with him at night. And those are the two. I think with those 2 time of days, those are the 2 points during the day that I have his undivided attention.
Yep, because I'm not there.
Because you're not there, Enzo's not around, Nanny's not around. We don't have a bunch of commotion. He's not all excited. He's just waking up or he's really sleepy.
Just quality dad time.
Yes, it's quality time between me and him.
Yeah.
So I think it's just huge.
How are you going to do it with another one?
That's a great question. I don't know. We're going to have to figure that one out. But we will figure it out.
Dad and the babies in the morning?
Yeah, it'll be me and 3, because Enzo, I know they do. Mm-hmm. I get him ready for school. Take him to school, get him fed, get him out the door,
It's so funny because when you travel, like, I put Rhett to bed from time to time, you know, and I get him up in the morning sometimes, like, obviously if you're traveling, but, like, also if you're, like, hey, I have a meeting or whatever, like, or
if he sleeps in late for whatever reason.
If he sleeps in and I'm awake, then I'll grab him and let you sleep if you're still sleeping. So it's not, like, unheard of, but, man, when you travel, he's like, I'm like, hey, you ready for, you ready to go night-night? And he'll be like, dad, like just adamant, bish, this is not your thing. This is my dada's thing. Where the fuck is he? I haven't seen him all day.
Well, and he like, especially with the mornings, like he knows.
Yeah.
Like
in his crib in the morning.
Like we both listen to the monitor.
Yep.
Like we'll hear him wake up, he'll start crying, he'll sit in his crib and literally just dad, and he'll get up and then he'll dad until I come in. And then as soon as I come in, he has the biggest squeal laugh thing that you could ever hear. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah.
In the middle of the night, it's a crying, mom.
Yeah, he knows. He just knows.
He knows which parent to associate
is coming.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing thing. It's really cool.
It's interesting.
I'm interested. I'm interested to see what happens with this pregnancy and what this baby's like. If this baby has the same mentalities, the same. I'm thinking it'll be similar, but we'll see.
It's cute. They're going to be opposites, probably.
Well, yeah, that's probably.
This baby will probably sleep in late, stay up late.
Yeah. Speaking of pregnancies, by the way, I don't know if any of you other guys out there with pregnant wives have ever experienced this in your life, but God, women when they are pregnant, especially in the first few months, are ridiculous and kind of annoying.
Oh.
Like, I love you, but I don't know how many times, like, I have to ask you, like, what do you want to eat?
I feel like, okay, so quick disclosure. I run hyperemesis gravidum, so like the truly diagnosed severe morning/all-day sickness. So
Yeah.
I run extreme nausea, vomiting.
Why do they call it morning sickness when with you, like, it's all day?
Yeah, it's all day, or like this pregnancy, it tends to be 1 p.m. on. I get very nauseous and then like vomiting in the evening.
Well,
So I just want a quick disclosure, like people that don't have this don't deal with this problem.
well, I mean,
But it's the only thing you know because
especially with you with this, like, I don't know if it's, I don't want to call it, it's not a disability. It's just part of the way your pregnancies go. Because we did this with Rhett too. Mm-hmm. You said you got it with Enzo. But she has morning sickness all day.
Yeah.
But she still needs to eat, right?
Yeah.
So, you know what? Like, I'll feed her breakfast in the morning. We'll do something
breakfast
subtle.
is normally my best this pregnancy.
Yeah, you do best in the morning. But, you know, sometimes lunchtime, I want, you know, since the nanny's here, I'll request that, you know, hey, you know, let's go grab lunch. We'll have a little lunch date. Well, getting her in the car and asking what she wants, she can't come up with anything because she's actively, in her head, she is actively thinking about foods that will taste good coming up versus going down.
What's gonna vomit the easiest?
What's gonna come up the easiest? What and I have to like kind of go with her on that. Like, hey, you know, I have to understand that she needs.
Do you want an acai bowl?
Yeah, she wants a smoothie because the
She's
smoothie coming
real
back up's going to
nauseous.
be a lot better than, you know, a steak.
You're right.
But I mean, it's just ridiculous. I'm like,
Can I tell you, this is so sad. So sad. So, like, we got Chop Shop today, and I got, like, a rice, like, one of their bowls, which I've been craving, like,
healthier,
but, like, warm foods. Like, not, like, salad, like, cold salad, but, like, so this was, like, brown rice with, like, sauteed veggies, and then, like, a protein, and some sauce. And I literally was eating the rice, and all I could think, this is so sad, is I was like, I remember vomiting rice. It's not as good as I thought it would be. Vomiting rice is like like all the little granules you feel coming up your throat and like out, and they all kind of like rub up your esophagus. So I was eating the rice, and literally that was my thought as I was eating it, like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have picked this because if I vomit this later, I'm going to regret this decision. Isn't that sad?
It is.
Like, while I was eating my lunch.
All I can say is I am extremely grateful that I don't have the ability to birth a child. Because I can only imagine that the biggest thing, the most exciting thing of your day is, especially in the first few months. What did it last time? 28 weeks?
So, again, I run, it's called hyperemesis gravidum. It is not your typical average morning sickness, like run of the mill. It is like a medical diagnosis. Some people get hospitalized with it, etc. Normally you go on prescription medicine for it, which they just called in a prescription for me. But with Enzo, I had it to 17 weeks, and with Rhett, I had it to 22 weeks.
22 weeks of just, like, Rhett was bad. Like, I think your levels were just so high, you were vomiting all the time. Like, I felt like it. It was just...
I was on medication. I was still vomiting, I think, like 7 times a day. And, like, nauseous all day.
Oh, yeah. And, like, your complexion completely changes. You turn, like, ghostly, like, all day.
You said the other day I was really pale.
You are right now. I'm looking at you, and I'm like, you're just completely pale. I'm like, this poor girl. Like, I am so sorry that I put my semen in you. Like, that is my bad.
I mean, I'm not. It was kind of fun. You know?
I just feel so bad. I'm like, I can't do anything. So I enjoy the little things with baby and so. And I'm sitting
making sure I have a constant supply of smoothies.
You're going through all this, and I'm sitting here bitching about not being able to relate to Enzo, or being willing to relate to Enzo on a Pokemon level.
Oh god! So we haven't told Enzo yet. We have a sonogram this week, and I think we're gonna just post baby Avery, like, I definitely have been struggling with anxiety quite a bit around, pregnancy this time around. And so I think we're going to wait till, like, after the sonogram this week to tell Enzo. Oh, he, like, snuggled up to me earlier and, like, leaned into my stomach, and I was like, I was like, I'm getting sweaty and hot. My breathing's getting rapid. I'm going to vomit right here.
Oh, my God. Well, then what did he say? He said something. He was like, I can't wait until I have another brother or another sibling.
So I wear the necklace that Mariah got us for baby Avery. And so I wear that all the time. And I think Enzo might know what's up. Like, he's smart. Bridget acts, like she's on death's door, when she's pregnant in the first few weeks.
She curls up in a ball on her couch and drinks a bunch of water, which she doesn't normally do. You can tell when Bridget's sick because she'll drink water.
White as a ghost.
White as a ghost, not feeling good. Don't touch my stomach.
Right?
We know.
Hey, be careful.
She must be pregnant.
So Enzo the other day, he went to, like, snuggle and, like, kind of jump on me. And I was like, hey, gentle. And he was like, I'm just so sad about baby Avery. And I was like, yeah, me too, bud. He's like, I hope we have another baby soon. Like, you little fucker, don't you? I didn't say anything. It's just, yeah, hopefully.
God.
But it's like, it's so sad. But, like, so yesterday I threw up and I'd asked you to pick up ice cream because I was like, cool, I'm running super nauseous. And ice cream throws up so nicely.
Yeah, if I'm going to throw up anything, I'm glad I would shoot for ice cream.
Right, like, it sounds terrible, but, like, it's people that have bulimia or whatever, like, they'll eat a bite of ice cream before they go vomit because it's just very pleasant.
Coming back up.
If you had to have a pleasanter experience with throwing up. So I asked you to get ice cream last night. Because I was like, yeah, I just need this in my life. But, like,
how unbelievable is it that those are the things you have to think about now when you eat?
Something
that's supposed to be, like, firsthand to you. It's your body should know how to do this stuff and should understand the process. You do it every day. You need it to survive. But now you have to think about the types of foods you're eating.
Oh, yeah.
Just to make sure that, like, it doesn't taste horrible on the way out.
Chips are out the door completely right now.
Yep. Yeah. You aren't eating, like, a lot.
And not hard foods either.
No, you're not eating, like, what you normally would be eating.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, now I feel like a fatty, So I guess I should, I need to get on the healthy train. Maybe I need to get pregnant.
Remember we went out to eat the other day with Rhett, and you ordered, like, a breakfast burrito?
Oh, God.
And
So disappointed. We went to a healthy restaurant.
And they served, like, a true portion size. Like, not like a standard American portion size, like a normal portion size.
I'm like, did I get rolled taquitos? I got one taquito.
You're like...
I was so disappointed.
You ate it, and I was like, you hungry? You're all, fuck yeah, I'm hungry. That was like a snack.
Man. Pregnancy. All the things.
Smoothies.
Yep, smoothies.
I think we just need to start making smoothies every day and have it in the fridge for me.
Yeah, but then the last time we did that, it sat in the fridge for like 4 days, and it
that
turned
one had
into
protein in it, though. I think that's why I didn't want to do it, because I was like...
You were worried about the protein powder that sits on the shelf in the pantry?
Yeah, but it was, like, mixed already.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to cause any problems, but... Anyway, if we need to start making...
Hard-boiled eggs have been good. They throw up very nicely, too.
I learned how to cook those from TikTok, too. Who knew you could do hard-boiled eggs in an air fryer?
Oh, yeah, have you tried it yet?
No, not yet, but I'm gonna. The next
Speaking
round.
of air fryers...
Oh, God, air fryers.
We gotta return one.
Yeah, of course. We have two, and of course we bought one that
right, so scratch that from our product recommendations from last week. We recall that because it's been recalled.
Yeah, exactly. So now we have an air fryer that likes to catch on fire, and we got to take it back
to Best Buy. They'll give you $50 though.
Yeah. So anybody that has a specific model air fryer
from
Best Buy,
check it out.
Check it out. Make sure you look it up and see if it's one of yours, because apparently these things have problems.
Yeah,
who knew?
It's crazy.
Well, I think we're going to leave it on a high note. Vomit and babies.
Vomit friendly foods.
Yep, for vomit friendly foods, and So anybody that's struggling with vomiting because of hyper
Emesis.
emesis gravidome, make sure you're eating your ice creams and your smoothies because it's so much, better coming out.
And don't go too acidic on the smoothie with the fruits and juice, or you'll just hate your life.
I don't know about that, but yeah, that sounds
low
good.
acid.
I like it. Well, thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. You can check us out at
FreezerMilk.com.
or Instagram.
Freezer Milk Podcast.
Until next week, guys. Thanks.
Don't forget, parenting is a trip. We are all here on the journey with you together. Thanks so much for listening.